Hi everyone, this is Akshata here. I hope all of you are staying at home, staying safe, keeping yourself happy, keeping yourself occupied. So I just thought, why not share some stories with you all? I was reading a book and I thought, why not share this with all of you wonderful people? So all you have to do is just put your earphones so you can hear me better and, just relax and listen to these stories at your own time whenever you're free, and you can just relax and listen to this story. Now, this section that I'm reading is about a matter of attitude, and the story I'm going to read is called Great Value in Disaster. Now, before the story, there is a small saying normally, or a proverb. So, here there's a Spanish proverb that says, if your house is on fire, warm yourself by it. So, now we start with the story. Thomas Edison's laboratory was virtually destroyed by fire in December 1914. Although the damage exceeded almost $2 million, the buildings were only insured for $238,000 because they were made of concrete and thought to be fireproof. Much of Edison's life's work went up in spectacular flames that December night. At the height of the fire, Edison's 24-year-old son, Charles, frantically searched for his father among the smoke and the debris. He finally found him, calmly watching the scene, his face glowing in the reflection, his white hair blowing in the wind. "My heart ached for him," said Charles. He was 67, no longer a young man, and everything was going up in flames. When he saw me, he shouted, "Charles, where's your mother?" When I told him I didn't know, he said, "Find her, bring her here. She will never see anything like this as long as she lives." The next morning, Edison looked at the ruins and said, "There is great value in disaster. All our mistakes are burned up. Thank God we can start anew." 3 weeks after the fire, Edison managed to deliver his first phonograph. So this just shows us how, even though all his hard work had gone up into flames, he still looked at the positive side of things. He never gave up hope, even though he was 67 years old. The first instance is shown where he calls his son and tells him to call his mother, because he said in her lifetime, she's never going to see such an enormous fire and everything burning up. Although all his hard work burned up, he still looked at the positive side and the fun of things. And he also said, thank God everything got destroyed so that he could start on a fresh new page. So rather than looking at things in a negative manner, even though what we are going through right now by being self-quarantined and socially distanced, let's look at it positively. Let's look at things in a positive manner. Let's make a pledge to ourselves that yes, we are going to look at things in a positive manner, and we are not going to always be negative about everything. For example, now we are all stuck at home. So instead of thinking of yourself as being stuck at home, think of yourself as being happy at home, safe at home, that you're getting to spend time with your family and the people you love. Instead of saying, I'm going to run out of items, I'm going to be stock, not having enough, just think that I have enough in my home and I'm going to make do with what I have. Like the other day, we had made some dal because it was Gudi Padwa, so we had made varan, bhat and batatachi bhaji. So there was a lot of varan. Varan is just cooked dal left. So I said, why not use it? So the next day we had made dal fry, and since bread and pav is still available, we just had pav and dal fry. So make do with the things that you have and try to minimize on just, I mean, eat more healthy stuff, eat fruits are still available, and just try to make do with whatever you have. So look at things very positively. And that's what the message of that's what this whole thing is about. That is the story of that I just read to you all, is look at things in a positive manner. Then I'm going to read for you another small story, and the name of the story, or the title of the story, is Good News. So Robert D. Vincenzo, who was the great Argentine golfer, once won a tournament, and after receiving the check and smiling for the cameras, he went to the clubhouse and prepared to leave. Some time later, he walked alone to his car in the parking lot, and there he was approached by a young woman. She congratulated him on his victory, and then she told him that her child was seriously ill and she needed some money because her child was to be hospitalized. She did not know how she could pay the doctor's bills and the hospital expenses. D. Vincenzo was touched by her story, and he took out a pen and endorsed his winning check for the payment to the woman. "Make some good days for the baby," he said, and he gave the check to her. The next week he was having lunch in a country club when a professional golf association official came to his table. "Some of the boys in the parking lot last week told me you met a young woman there after you won the tournament." D. Vincenzo nodded. "Well," said the official, "I have news for you. She was a phony. She had no sick baby. She was not even married. She just fleeced you, my friend." And you know what Vincenzo said? "You mean to say there was no baby dying? That's the best news I've heard all week." So again, you see another human being, another person looking at the positive side of things. And then there's a small writing by Mary Curling, and the title is Roles and How We Play Them. "Whenever I'm disappointed with my spot in life, I stop and think about little Jamie Scott. Jamie was trying out for a part in a school play. His mother told me that he had his heart set on being in it, though she feared he would not be chosen. On the day the parts were announced, I went with her to collect him after school. Jamie rushed up to her, eyes shining with pride and excitement. 'Guess what, Mom?' he shouted, and then said those words that remain a lesson to me. 'I've been chosen to clap and cheer.' So even though he was chosen just to clap and cheer, for him it meant a big thing. Again, he's looking at the positive things. And now to lighten up today's video or audio, I've just got this book. It's about short stories, and this author just writes about. He's a Goan author, and he writes about his time in Goa when he used to make his annual visit to his homeland in the month of May. So I'm just going to read a small extract, and I'm sure many Goans who are listening will be able to connect with what I'm reading. But to come back to the emigrants' arrival, innumerable homes in innumerable villages in Goa, preparations are being made to receive the returning relatives. Courtyards have been swept, balconies whitewashed, family altars cleansed of their cobwebs, and crocheted altar cloths and tea cozies brought out for ironing from Macau camphor wood chest, several generations old. The fattened sow, which will provide the basic meal for several weeks, has been caught after a village chase that would put Spanish bull fiestas in shade. Every portion of the meat, every single drop of blood will be used for a variety of dishes that is a temptation even to the gods. Roast pork, the dark skin crackling like autumn leaves, sorpotel, pieces of meat cooked in a witch's cauldron of blood, vinegar and spices, tripe from several miles of intestine that is heavy going except for those with blocked sinuses. In a shady bird-orchestrated orchard, tender coconuts will be plucked for mouth-watering delicacies like lethria and arana. while the finest distillations from the cashew apple transformed into an excelsior called Feni will be stored in earthenware jars. In the interest of truth, let it be recorded that cashew Feni, which today is the in thing to sip in aristocratic circles, was never touched by the descendants of the Boas families who stuck to Porto, Tinto, and Branco. At the appointed hour, crackers will be lit, resembling the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, while glasses of sangria, that is chilled sweet wine with soda, will be doled out from punch bowls to everyone, including babes in arms. The first of many reunions has begun. I think of times when old ink bottles were filled with kerosene and used for lamps, when water was drawn from wells, when litanies were said at the cross feasts, were followed by boiled gram, coconut cubes, and gossip, when people had the capacity to laugh at the most idiotic of things. Bus conductors at Panaji or Panjim shouted, Akshi Bab, Akshi. Then that began, okay, or the story of, okay, this is a little bit, I won't read this part. It's a little, okay. My heart aches for the all night dances in the private aristocratic homes to the music of the Johnson's band of unspoiled yatras at Asonora, of village idiots and drunks who were showered with love and affection, of sailboats that took us from Panaji to our island of Diwar, the backwaters of the Mandovi River, licking its salty tongue on the blonde fuzz of ripening paddy fields. The peaceful whole day shopping in the markets of Mapsa, from brooms to gurguletas, which were earthenware pots that were shaped like roosters. I'm sure many of us had that in our ancestral homes. And kotkote, a delicious stick chaw toffee made of coconut, jaggery, ginger, and peanuts that made consumers of the stuff look like puppets in a ventriloquist show, and above all, domestic servants who sat in the balconies and day after day told us tales that would put the Arabian Nights in the shade. Tales of haunted houses and homes that had a curse on them because pensao or promises that were made had been broken. The stories were always accompanied by the tending of wounds of the naughty boys in the family and the shedding of lies from the beautiful long black hair of the girls. Those times are gone, and Goa has now changed. So this is just an extract that I got from somewhere where a person is just describing how things were in Goa in the month of May. Uh, and okay, and here he tells a small story. There is a well known story of Henry Ford and the Red Indian, which I believe originated from Goa. It goes like this. It appears that J.R.D. Tata, who was a friend of my father, once visited our island village of Diwar. Walking around the village on his own, he saw a well built young man leaning against a tree, his fishing rod dangling into the river, a straw hat over his eyes, and a bottle of Feni by his side. Young man, said J.R.D., if instead of spending the whole day lying under this tree, you were to come to Bombay, I will give you a job in one of my factories. I see, said the young man. And what will be the result? If you work hard, you will be promoted, and if you continue in that fashion, you will one day become perhaps the manager or even the director and earn a lot of money. I see. And what will happen after that? And JRD replied, you will be sufficiently well off to retire and lead a quiet, healthy, idle life. And the young man replied, but that is exactly what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I have read some stuff for you. And now I thought, since we are on the topic of Goa, I also got my hands on another Goan book. And in this, the author has just given a little a story about, you know, again, life in the old times in Goa. So the daily food of Goa would vary from a daily routine to an elaborate affair. However, with the poor and the rich, rice and curry is always the staple Goan household food. Um Then she says a housewife would wake up at the cock's crow for her daily grind. First, the fire had to be kindled, and it was no easy task as it needed skill and patience, especially during the monsoons where the wood would be slightly damp. Cooking gas and kerosene were yet to make an appearance, and it was just the dry leaves, dry twigs, wood, or dried cow dung cakes that got the fire crackling. A metal or a bamboo pipe, which was called the nolly, was used to blow the fire. Foo, 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 she would blow the pipe. One had to take care not to breathe in, because once you inhale the smoke, one would start coughing. Once the fire was started and the mud pot, which was called the budkulo, was taken to the fire for cooking congee, which is rice gruel, and rice, which would take long hours to boil. Tea and coffee were unheard of in those times. Only the luxurious homes could drink this tea and coffee. The village folk normally had kanji or pears for breakfast. Some had amil. Amil is a sour gruel made of nashni and rice. Raw mango, dried saltfish, or even double boiled thick curry was eaten to thick the taste buds. Breakfast over, the housewife would then go to the kitchen to start her daily ritual of preparing the curry. The coconut would be dehusked and broken, and the grated kernel mixed with spices would be ground on the fator or the stone, for then no mixers existed. This exercise would take at least an hour or no to get a very fine paste. This would then be mixed with water in an earthen pot called a tuli and boiled on a slow flame till it was thickened and the desired consistency got. Then the local fisherwoman would come with the fresh fish of the day, and then fish, prawns, or shellfish, whatever was available would be added to this curry to enhance its taste. The preparation of this curry was a ritual, and housewives vying with one another to make it better. The spices used varied from each home to each home and also depended upon the fish that was available for the day. The lunch was normally again kanji. Lunch was also rice and curry with either dried fish pickles or pickles and papads made. When it comes to the higher class, however, people who are of the rich families and who had relatives abroad would normally have butter or jam and even bread and coffee for their breakfast. In the village, they would also prepare koiloyos. The lunch consisted of soup, vegetables, kaldeen, or cooked with grated coconut, beef, either as roast, chili fry, potato chops, or almongedos, fried fish curry with coconut or ambutik. Sometimes beef would be replaced by pork and served as roast, cutlets, vindaloo, or balchow. And on Sundays, beef was replaced by chicken, that is either as shakuti, and there was pulao or rice. For dessert, there was caramel pudding or jelly. The Portuguese wines like Tinto, Branco, and Rosé were served for lunch. So this is for the elite families who could afford all this. So then, for the afternoon, again, or rather for the evening, they would make. Then, of course, for the evening, they would make some light snacks like ale bele or pancakes. Shavgyo, which was a machine to make noodles, would be used to make shavgyo, and that would be dried in the sun. Then fawa, which is called pohe, was also used as a snack dish. So this is just one a small excerpt from a book that I was reading on Goan recipes. So if you all want me to do more audio videos like audio um, books like this where I'll just read something for you all and you can just listen, then give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to leave your feedback. See you guys. Have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Stay home. Stay safe.